going to finish what I was going to say, which I've been advised that I could put the board in some sort of legal problem by sharing my thoughts. And my thoughts are, I'd rather fail in front of the public, trying to be sincere and honest and transparent and respond to public concerns. I'd rather face charges for those reasons than to sit here and do nothing. So all I'm saying is, all I was going to say was that this sounds familiar to me, what you're referring to. I saw an article in the paper related to this sort of scenario, where someone...
Privately you're talking about, a private situation.
No, it was a public situation where the individual, had a company, and that's what he did. He was holding on to deductions that were belonging to the employees and didn't forward it to the appropriate authorities.
You just said a private company.
Yes, a private company. But it was public. And that's what I was going to say.
And I thought that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, and so I just want to make sure that I'm not, I respect my colleagues, and I've seen the way that board meetings have been run in the past, and I want that to change. That's all. I'm not going to put the board in jeopardy, but I believe that we have to be able to communicate with the public, respond to your questions, and not be afraid of this idea that anything we say is going to send us somewhere. I don't know. If somebody's going to file charges against me for communicating with the public. And I've seen board meetings. I look for them on the TV or online to see how other board meetings have been run in other communities. And many communities don't have an attorney sitting up here at all for constant advice. So it worries me when my colleagues are saying to me, oh, be careful, be careful, be careful, like I'm doing something wrong. And that I think was the concern of the board. And I'm not going to shy away, but with the President's approval, I'll be able to say what I have to say. And so that's all that I'm going to say for now.
Well, I'm glad you spoke the way you spoke, and I understand because I read the same article. And what I'm saying to you is, Board of Eds, and the attorney can confirm what I'm saying. Board of Eds, there's a lot of privacy issues, which you have to be very careful of. And I don't want you to get any type of trouble that could result in you being removed when we just got you elected.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have one other question of the auditor, and he can, I hope if he can answer it, okay. If he can't answer it, that's okay too, because I understand we legal little technicalities. Okay? On the checks or vouchers, whichever they were, that were approved for payment without the board's knowledge, because you mentioned that there was a number of things paid that were supposed to come before the board, but never came before the board for their approval. Were they approved by the business administrator at the time?
They were the bill payments that came out of the lease accounts, which is the roof project and the security and the internet upgrades, were requested to be paid by the business administrator to the bank. So the business administrator approved those payments through I'm not going to call it a voucher, it was a request for payment that he signed to the bank. The bank made him,
The bank requested it and he signed it.
well, no, he requested that a payment be made.
Okay.
The bank then says, well, if you want a payment to be made, you got to sign this document. It was a request for payment.
and he signed that document, and technically that was something that was supposed to come before the board for their approval.
Every payment or a claim has to be approved by the board unless the board adopts a policy that between meetings, they could, the business administrator, and with the approval of another, usually the superintendent, can make payments between meetings, but all payments eventually, either ratified or prior to payment, must be presented to the board.
And you have no knowledge of any such policy, correct?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
From high school. Just a question, Mr. when we had a transfer of the account, of a shortage of account, is there a certain budget that the item came from, like supplies or operating budget? Do we know where that money would have come from? Because like if I had a household budget and I would have come short, maybe I owe money to the IRS at the end of the year, I would have to find that from a different account of myself. I was just wondering, did we take it out of a certain area? Because I know we're short of supplies in the schools, and it's one of the things that I'm just questioning, did it come from school supplies?
There were 90 line accounts that were over, 90. It's every conceivable type of account, salary, supplies, purchase service, it's, you know, it's every type of account, under every category. So for me to specifically say where that particular one came from, I can't identify.
A little everything, probably.
It's everything. It's all.
Thanks for the answer. Thank you.
May I get a motion to close public session? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Yes, moving to President 5 resolutions. May I have a motion on E, finance? Second. Any discussion? Mr. Clark, please call the roll.
On Resolution E1, Ms. Dolan? Mr. Rivera? Absent, sorry. Mrs. Torres?
Yes.
Mr. Valon?
Yes?
Mr. Zangari? Mrs. Lombardi?
Yes.
Mr. Kugel?
Yes.
Motion carries 601.
May I have a motion to open public session? Second. All in favor? All opposed?
Good evening again. The bank in question that the school district used, is it not Belleville National Bank? Are there any other banks? Are there? Okay. The bank in question that the school district used, is it exclusively Valley National Bank?
Mr. President, I don't know the answer to that. I know that we approve an official depositor every year, and that is Valley National.
Okay. So there were no other banks involved in the audit, Mr. Bliss? Any other accounts that were outside? Like,
That's if you're talking about financial leases and stuff like that.
no, we're talking about what Mr. Bliss specifically audited, because there are funds, trust funds that were operated outside of the school district, such as the Athletic Advisory Council, for example. There were no documentation that you reviewed that stated any other bank, correct?
No, there was, the lease accounts were with First Home Bank and TD Bank. All the other accounts, I think, were all Valley National.
Okay. And has it been your experience dealing with public school accounts that they would use other banks besides the exclusive one that they use for depository purposes?
With respect to lease accounts, yes, they could be, depends who wins the lease, who wants to lend them the money, and who gives them the best rate, that's the bank you're going to go with. It's not uncommon to use more than one bank for different accounts.
Going back to a question I had earlier, is it in fact true that Power School is non-functional?
Mr. Acosta, would you like to?
I mean, I'm a parent. I went on Power School and there's nothing there. And the word on the street from the children, the students, that it's been hacked. So, I don't like to present rumor. Is it a technical issue, or is it in fact just...
Correct. We had a server, the Power School server crash.
Again.
And we are working with Power School to try to restore that data.
Okay, so we had issues in September, and we didn't learn from that. We didn't learn from that at all. To do the proper backup.
Mrs. Polite, can I respond? Well, as we know, all our equipment now is end of life. We ordered equipment that has not come in yet. And that is the reason why it went down. It should be in, I'm not sure when, but once it's in, obviously we'll be in a better state.
Is there an action plan to recover grades, attendance, and critical data for the students for the second marking period that allegedly is non-existent at this point?
Yes, there is. Mr. Acosta, we could elaborate on that, but there is a plan in place right now for administration to upload the grades.
Was that an answer, the shaking of the head?
I answered it previously.
Okay. So now, if I were a senior and I'm applying for colleges, which the deadlines are quickly approaching if they're not, and time is of the essence, we have an issue because, how are we addressing this with the students? As a parent, and again, I don't have a student, a child that is a senior, but I'm sure that there are parents out there that are not aware of what's going on in order to kind of do some kind of damage control or be made aware. I addressed the board last year, early in the fall, after there was allegedly data breach. It's going on all over Target, Home Depot, and I was told that we had a plan. Do we have a plan? Was there a plan?
Mr. President, can I respond? I went to central office this morning because I heard of exactly what you're talking about. There was no hack. It was actually the hack was a rumor, and it was a student, a hoax. It was a student who did that word art, whatever, and did that. So there was no hack. Power School did go down. We did lose the data. I was informed today that we do have our backup plan while we're waiting to upgrade the infrastructure. We have hard copies of everything. We have every piece of information, grades, transcripts, absentees, and all of that. So if a parent needed that for early decision or anything to do with college or any other grade for that matter, they can get that information. It's not readily available. It's not best practice, but it is what we have right now while we're waiting for the equipment to come in to do those upgrades. That was the information that I received today.
But in the interim, this loss of data, it was not communicated to the parents.
We're not certain it was lost. We're attempting to recover it. Once we know for sure the data's been lost, we will inform the parents. At this point, we're not sure whether it was lost or not. We are working with Power School to try to recover the data.
But wouldn't it make sense, honestly, wouldn't it make sense to let them know a possibility, just as major corporations as Target say, your information could have been compromised,
Was it compromised, Mrs. Blank?
lost.
The server crashed.
If I was a senior,
It erased the data that was there.
Okay, so it wasn't compromised by anyone. Data was perhaps lost. You don't think that's critical information that should be communicated to parents and students? If you were a student and you were a senior and you needed that information,
The information can be reproduced. We have, teachers keep a grade book.
right, but in the meantime, we're waiting for the computers and the equipment in order to properly store it again and properly process it again. You know, in a spirit of having full disclosure, in a spirit of having accountability, these things, there should be a clear line of communication that perhaps this information was lost so that we can move forward. But part of the problem is that, you know, just as we've had instances before where best practices were not adhered to, we need full disclosure. Thank you.
Go by the list or?
Okay, Mike Mignon, 23 West Mill Avenue in Caldwell. Belleville Education Association President. All right, I did ask Mr. Bliss these questions, and he said he didn't have the answer, so I'm going to ask the board these questions that refer to our retirees and the, I guess, untimely or non-existent payment of pension, unemployment, and what's the other one, the third one, Social Security. Okay, were those bills actually paid? Are they updated? Are they paid? That's, I guess, the question I'm asking.
Mr. Clark, can you answer that question?
I just found out most of it a week ago when I received the audit. So during the corrective action plan, that's part of the entire process we have to go through. Some are long and complicated, some are simple. It's going to take time and a lot of hard work from many people.
Okay, because I think it was back in August, maybe before that in July, we have reports that our retirees are not being paid correctly on their pension. So I'm just wondering if that's ever been cleared up, or if that, I mean, I was told it was cleared up. I still speak to the retirees, they're still saying they haven't been paid. But then again, there is that possibility that it's, you know, in the hands of the state, it's taking a little bit of time. But I just want to know for a fact on our end if those payments have been made to the state for our pension and Social Security, unemployment, all that.
Mr. Mignon, you want to follow up on that and get back to you?
Great, thank you. I would also like to welcome Mr. Valon and Ms. Dolan. You are most certainly refreshing faces on this board. I just know that this community and the teachers, the town government, okay, we all chose you to be our eyes and our ears on this board, and also, most of all, to be our voice, okay, because I have to disagree, Mr. Zangari. I think it's very disheartening that you can sit up here and tell the public that this is not the fault of this board. Okay, this board knowingly voted unanimously on almost every single thing that passed. Every one of you. One, Mr. Rivera not being here today, also, one part of it. Mr. Freed and Mr. Longo, same thing. Not here. 7 of you, absent Mr. Valon and Mr. Dolan, okay, voted unanimously on all this stuff. And you knew, you are board members, you had the training, you've been here long enough to understand that you run your business as a business. You have a president, you run your treasurer's report. You get all the information before you vote on something. There is no excuse. Ignorance is definitely not an excuse. I absolutely don't believe fear is ever an excuse. There are no excuses. Okay? I know we have to build from here, but you know, to come out and say that, hey, this is not all on us, how are we supposed to keep account? That's misleading at best. To be nice, that's misleading. Okay? This Board of Education is responsible for all those decisions. Okay, and let's keep it at that so that the public can start to gain the respect that we need to gain for our Board of Education and the confidence that we need to have in our Board of Education. And we can't get that confidence if we're still lying to ourselves and saying, well, we didn't know, or we're not sure, or what happened, or, you know, someone told me this, I thought I was voting on that. That's all nonsense. We have to be way away from that at this point. We have to be in a rebuilding stage. And acceptance. Accepting the error of your ways is the first step. Okay? So I just want to, again, just lay it out on the line because that comment really disturbed me. And at the same time, best wishes to our two newly elected board members. Please be our voice. Thank you.
I have one question about something you said before about all of the payments that were made that were never voted on. Every month, under Section F, don't you vote on, is that the bills, or is the bills list something different? You vote on the bills list because many times you'll say, I guess with exception, meaning that there was something on that bill that you felt you didn't have the right to vote on, but isn't that voted on every month? So then, is it that the information wasn't given to the auditor, or am I misunderstanding?
The bills that were not approved by the board were the bills that were paid out of the lease purchase accounts that went to the roofing company, and to clarity for the improvements to the security and the network, and then as well as the payments that were made out of the workers' compensation claims.
Okay, so it wasn't
They
that
weren't submitted to, it doesn't appear they were submitted to.
Okay, but it didn't mean that no bills are submitted.
No, there's a bill.
Okay, they see a bill list. On for two different boards of education, going back quite a while for one of them, I had made a suggestion that the bills list be part of what the audience gets to see. I was told then, and then it was voted on again maybe 5, 6 years ago, and the decision was it would involve too much paper, we're not going to do it. Now that the minutes or the agenda usually makes it onto the website, would it be possible that everything that the Board of Education members see that could become public information be shown to the audience on the website? It wouldn't take the amount of paper that I was told we couldn't use before. We see an abbreviated agenda, really. You'll state somebody's going to get appointed to a particular job, but we don't always see the amount of money or what step they were on or whatever. I understand the Board of Education sees that. I don't know why it's something they can see that we can't, other than an attempt to conserve paper.
We will discuss that with legal counsel.
Because again, I'm familiar with other boards of education, and I know other boards of education that do that. I participated in one for many years, and I felt that I had a much better understanding of what was being discussed and what was going on, because I saw all the paperwork that you saw. But again, I was told for financial reasons, it can't be done because it would be too much duplicating, too much being handed out. And just one of the other comments that was made, with all of the things that were pointed out tonight as deficiencies, as a sitting board, if you look in your heart of hearts, somewhere in there you're going to say, I'm at fault too. Maybe not as much as, but I can't be totally held harmless. Because I sat there and I said yes, or either I didn't know what was going on, or I felt I would be in trouble if I didn't vote yes. So I'm sorry. You owe us, with two exceptions, you owe us all an apology.
I just want to bring up something on a lighter note. Before the holidays, I brought up your attention that the lights in Claremont Field were off for about a month. At the end of that meeting, Mr. Acosta advised me that I think Public Service was going to install them, and about a week later, the lights are on. But we've got a little problem. I don't know if you went for a permit to do that, which I think you're supposed to do. And there's been many applicants, you go before the planning and zoning boards, lights that light up big areas, usually they require box lightings. Now, I live in Mount Prospect Avenue. When you come up Home Street and you stop at the lights are glaring at you. They're shining all over. If you go up Belleville Avenue, school number 10 light, the new lights they put up, just glare. You're looking at oncoming traffic. And it's a combination of, we got serious problems. When you go to a motor vehicle, they don't inspect your car for lights anymore. So these xenon lights, whatever they are, these bright blinding. And now we've got a compound problem with these school lights. Can we put some shields on to these box lightings, light up the area very efficiently, but they don't go on, in addition to the blinding of drivers, a lot of the neighbors on New Street that I know, friends of mine, it's shining in the house all night long. So they're so bright. So I ask you, drive up, go west on Home Street, up to Union Avenue, and you'll see the lights glaring at you. Come on New Street, look at the houses, how they're lit up, and then drive up Belleville Avenue and see if we can do something about boxing in them lights so we get lighting on what we want to light up and not blind everybody in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I will bring that up to the minutes.
I'm sorry.
I get a motion.
No, coming up. Sorry. Hi.
Lincoln Ship, 52 Highland Boulevard, Edison, New Jersey. I'm Vice President of the Belleville Education Association. Last fall, we first spoke to the board regarding the lack of supplies and our curriculum materials. And these are curriculum materials that we need to effectively meet Common Core. I realize there's a lot of money that was spent improperly. I can tell you that last year, that money was not spent on curriculum materials. We still need elementary math textbooks aligned to Common Core, as well as other current curriculum materials. And I just asked the board to please make an effort to find these monies so we can have the necessary items we need. Thank you.
There's only one thing I want to say before I leave. I want to congratulate Mr. Valon, first meeting I'm coming where he's here, and Ms. Dolan. And I want to also congratulate Mr. Keeper on becoming the new president. Now, it would be nice if you find out whoever takes care of the boxes outside to put the right names of who's here, because we still have all the old people listed as the board members and the president. Thank you very much.
I get a motion to close public session.